Now, this might look like a local convenience store like any other, but as you say, on this day 5 years ago, it was quite a different story. This was one of a parade of shops on Ealing High Street, which was looted, set alight and destroyed, this time half a decade on. But I've come here to Ealing this afternoon to find out how on the 5th anniversary of the London riots, this local shop, local business and community have managed to rebuild the area. I'm joined by the shopkeeper of Spa here on the Ealing Green, Ravi. Tell us how much, Ravi, you remember about this day 5 years ago.
5 years ago, it was an absolute nightmare. We got a phone call from our alarm company saying that the alarm's going off, and we thought nothing of it because we've had false alarms before, and we never thought that when we reached here at about I think it's 10:45, 11 p.m. at night, it was absolute mayhem. There was so many people outside just wandering around, looting the shops, all their faces all covered. And it was so scary, it was unbelievable. And just watching my shop, being looted at that time was just, my hands just sunk into my face. And it was terrible, really, really bad.
How extensive was the damage to the shop at the time?
At the time when I reached here, it was just being looted, and we tried calling the police, and it just kept on ringing. The police wasn't answering. We hanged around for about half an hour, and then we decided to leave because there's nothing that we could do. And then only later on in the middle of the night we realised that the shop had been set on fire. So and then when we came here in the morning, we had the fire brigade still pouring water over the building at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was just like a bomb had hit the place.
Standing inside the shop today, it looks like any other convenience store you might find across the capital, but walking into this shop 5 years ago, tell us what it looked like.
5 years ago, it was a disaster area. All the suspended ceiling had fallen down. The floor had also collapsed because of the fire, and everything was just all over the floor. And obviously, the place was flooded with water, and the smell of it all, and it was just an absolute nightmare.
How challenging a journey was it to restore this shop to its former glory? We're standing in it today and it looks, as I say, like any other convenience store. You'd never imagine this happened here.
Yes, it was a long journey. It took about 18 months to come back and reopen again. But we got there in the end. It was tough. It wasn't easy, especially the first 8-9 months of it all. But once we had got the money from the Right Damages Act, we managed to rebuild, and here's the outcome.
Talking of the money you managed to get, that in itself was quite a journey to get compensation. Tell us about that.
It was, yeah. We did have insurance as well, which they managed to decline on us. They managed to find a clause that, and they got out of not paying us. So we obviously had the Right Damages Act. It wasn't easy. We'd put our forms in and sent them off, and we didn't receive any reply. It was just within the paperwork of their system. But then we managed to meet Ed Miliband, and we spoke to him, and he managed to raise it in Prime Minister's Questions Time to David Cameron himself, and then David Cameron promised that he would look into our personal case. And from there it moved on pretty quickly, and we managed to get the money into our bank account and start rebuilding the business again.
And 5 years on, tell us a little bit about what impact this has had on the other businesses along this stretch of Ealing High Street.
Yeah, some of my neighbours, they were also damaged. Their properties were damaged as well. Some of them they did come back, they reopened, but then they had to close down because the business just wasn't there anymore. So for some people, it's been an even more difficult journey than my own.
But by the sounds of it, the local community have really come together and come behind you to help rebuild this business. Oh yes,
without obviously our regular customers and Ealing in itself, we would be facing the same. And it was obviously because of our customers we managed to stay open and keep business ticking over.
How significant a day is this?
It is significant because it's always in the back of our minds what happened 5 years ago. Obviously every year we do think about it, but as the years do pass, we just thank God that we managed to come back and rebuild. But the pain is still there, but it's getting less and less each year.
Ravi, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're joining you live this lunchtime in one of the shops which this time 5 years ago was destroyed in the London riots, and finding out how business owners here in West London have managed to rebuild their businesses, their livelihoods and their communities half a decade on.